The bridge hasn't borne traffic since the 1930s, but still mischievous Mike Abrams remembers when it did.
I was born and raised about 500 yards from the bridge. We used to make mud pies and get up on top of the bridge, and when a Pennsylvania car would come through, we'd drop one on it, because we knew they couldn't get up on the bridge to get at us.
Earl Simmers also played near the bridge as a child.
And it's just that we cherish the memory of those childhood things.
Simmers and others are classic bridgers, obsessed with covered bridges. They've worked tirelessly with the county to raise funds to restore the bridge and gain recognition for it on the county and national historic registers. Restoration is a daunting engineering challenge. The bridge was originally built for about $2,000. Restoration today, $1.2 million.
The problem is, how do you lift a 119-foot-long, 43-ton structure to take out the ends of these arches and replace them?
Work began on historic restoration in the spring of 2009. Time has been kinder to the Foxcatcher Farms Bridge, built over Big Elk Creek in Cecil County. Mike Dixon, Cecil County historian.
Foxcatcher Bridge was built in 1860, and it was built by Ferdinand Wood for the county commissioners. Cost him $1,175, and it still stands today in fine condition.
Hunters and hounds once chased foxes through this bridge when it was part of a DuPont estate. Today, the bridge is owned by the Fair Hills Natural Resources Management Area on Nathan Graham's beat.
Walking through the bridge, it's almost like an old farmhouse. It creaks, there's that certain feel of old wood underneath of you, and it has a certain smell to it. I personally like how it looks in all 4 seasons. The area around it changes, yet it stays steadfast.
Once, Delaware boasted as many as 28 covered bridges, all in Newcastle County. Today, only 3 authentically restored covered bridges remain. Marjorie McNinch, a reference archivist at the Hagley Library, visited rustic Ashland covered bridge before it was restored and after. She published Bridges, her book on Delaware covered bridges, in 1995. Ashland Bridge was built sometime between 1850 and 1865. But there had been a mill at this site since the 1670s. Like many early covered bridges, Ashland was built by a private mill owner, even though it lay on a post or public road. Ashland Covered Bridge is only 52 feet long and spans gentle little Red Clay Creek. The area supported agriculture rather than heavy industry early on, so Ashland was built with a simple but sufficient lattice truss design.
The type of bridge was patented by Elethial Town in 1820, and there were 7 bridges of that type on the Red Clay Creek. It was expedient, and they didn't need to use any iron rods or anything in it. They would build the plank bridge across the creek, and then they would build the housing, the cover, and then plop it on top of the plank bridge. Stepping into a covered bridge is like stepping into another world, because you have the play of light, you have the noise of the planks underfoot, and you have the river flowing underneath that you can see. The Ashland Bridge is on the National Register for Historic Places and has a lot of the charm of yesteryear.
Because of its listing on the National Register and because it's a working bridge, Ashland Covered Bridge was restored using innovative fireproof materials. Across the country, many state departments of transportation fund covered bridge restoration when the structures still bear traffic. Local advocates lobby for historic accuracy. Marjorie McNinch visited the day Ashland Covered Bridge was reopened by the Delaware Department of Transportation.
The use of the newer materials in the bridge do not detract from its old charm. The restoration of the Ashland Bridge will assure this community that the bridge will be standing 150 years from now.
Another Delaware historic covered bridge, Smith's Bridge, was built in 1839 with a long Burr arch. Irénée DuPont Jr., descendant and namesake of the 19th century DuPont Company founder, has a mansion on the hill overlooking Smith's covered bridge on the Brandywine Creek.
My parents were avid canoeists. In fact, we would take overnight camping trips on the Brandywine.
Brandywine Creek is famous for its picturesque beauty, and one-lane Smith's Bridge is helping to keep the valley unspoiled by urban sprawl and speed.
Many of the younger set around here have learned to call Smith's Bridge the Manners Bridge because the people that drive over it are so pleased that they wave to each other and stop unnecessarily to let the other one go through.
The ruined foundation of an old grist mill can be seen on the banks near the bridge. Legend has it that during George Washington's campaigns at Brandywine and Valley Forge, this mill owner, secretly loyal to the British Crown, provided flour to Washington's troops.
Well, it didn't take long for the Washington's Army's people to find out that there was broken glass in the flour, and they knew exactly where it came from. And the legend says that the miller was found hanging from the crane that lifts the barrels up into the top of the mill. He did not survive.
Irénée DuPont was not here the night Smith's Bridge met its fiery demise by arson.
In 1961, after it had been painstakingly restored, there came Mischief Night, in which it mysteriously caught fire. And we later learned that 5 gallons of gasoline had been dumped from an automobile as it drove through the bridge. We hustled out here when we heard there was a fire and took pictures, and it was a sad state.
Smith's Bridge was restored again in 2002 by the Delaware Department of Transportation. A third historic covered bridge on private land at Wooddale was washed away by floods from Tropical Storm Henry in 2003. It was authentically restored and reopened in late 2008.